I will welcome to the stage Joana Pedro, moderator for this session, which will be a series of presentations. And Joana will provide some opening remarks and then introduce the panelists. So thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the ones that are staying here this late. So on this session, we're going to go a little bit differently from the other sessions in terms of sitting and asking questions. So we will let the part of asking questions for you at the end. And we'll do a small presentation, well, not with the different speakers now. So basically, you just had a session now on client engagement, right? Which is the principle 3 from the Principles for Responsible Banking. And we had a guidance coming out this year on the client engagement. And of course, client engagement is important in those sustainability areas, and it's also important in the social areas. And it's very important if you want to drive sustainability outcomes to have and to create healthy and inclusive economies. So what we wanted to do is to see how this guidance that was done looking in general at sustainability, how does it fit for social issues and social considerations. So we'll have very good speakers that will, each of them, speak to a bit to that part, to this on the guidance. And the way the guidance is organized, it starts to say by how internally a bank can structure in order to do client engagement. So being their process, the data collection, impact analysis, strategy and development. But then once you do these initial steps, there is also the importance of having the cycle, the engagement cycle with the clients. So what we will do now is that we will go around the different parts of this engagement cycle, and for each of the steps of the engagement cycle, we'll have a speaker that will come here and speak a bit on their experience, on how they're doing that for their experience. So the way that the cycle is put together, so we start by setting the scene and opening the dialogue, needs assessment and awareness raising, defining support plans. Then we design how and offer products and service based on these plans. And then finally, the importance of monitoring and that retrofitting again to the scene setting and opening dialogue. So we'll start, of course, there in the seat setting and opening dialogue, so the first part of it. So on the guidance that PRB developed, what this part speaks is on how to start communicating. So first, to actually establish what are the sustainability impact targets that the bank themselves have, so that the clients understand what to expect, what is being needed. So it's communicating these expectations to the clients and how to then also identify, going from this to identify how to support the clients with these expectations. So to speak to us a bit more on how we can have this scene setting and how to open the dialogue, I invite to the stage Falth, the head of Women's Empowerment Principles and Economic Policy Advisor at UN Women. And for the ones that were here 2 sessions ago, Anna also worked, and the WEPs also worked with us together, and we created together this guidance on target setting for gender equality and women empowerment. So Anna, if you can tell us a bit more then about setting the scene, that would be great.
Thank you so much. I think I will actually do it a bit different as you proposed. So I'll move into the middle. Good evening, everyone. I will talk a little bit about our women's empowerment principles and how we work with banks and how we work with the private sector. We have our 7 principles. So the entry point in conversation from UN Women is always, are you a WEPs signatory? And then that determines how we see the company and how their commitment is being rolled out. So the 7 principles focus on corporate leadership, focus on governance, and it focuses on workplace, marketplace, and community. And it has a very important principle, 7, which is about transparency and reporting. And for those that were here 2 sessions ago, you also heard about building an ecosystem. So I have outlined in the middle of the slide also the stakeholders that we are working with, and clients are extremely important because they're part of the broader ecosystem. So that's what we are trying to do in our conversations, in the opening and scene setting of our conversations, is really about the number of women on the boards, it is, but also the quality of the board engagement. Do you have at all conversations about gender equality in the board? So that's part of the governance. We see employees as very important stakeholders. We know that in very conducive environments for gender equality, that there's more attraction and retention of employees, so they are also key stakeholders, along with the clients and suppliers and other business partners that can help to deliver your mandate as a bank. So if you have a strong commitment on gender equality, your clients are really your extended arm in making your commitment a reality. And the same thing goes with the focus on Principle 5 is the clients and the suppliers that really go hand in hand with the marketplace and the market players, the market participants. And Principle 6 is really about community engagement, to make sure that also the broader society is benefiting. And you probably heard in 2 sessions ago where we launched the guidance on gender equality in banks, that is really what we ultimately want to see, and how a bank can really be effectively implementing its policy and changing countries and changing regions by your measures. And by allowing people who have previously been excluded from financial systems or financial products and services that are then being brought in, and how that kind of have snowball effects in the community. But also we heard that investors and partners, regulators, are actually stepping up on these questions as well, on social more broadly, but also on gender equality, and want to see, and we get from UN Women often questions from investors, who are the WEP signatories? Can you help us understand where they are on the WEPs journey? How much have they implemented so far? Because they want to see, is this a good investment? Because, and in the 3rd column, you'll see the approaches and entry points that we have in those conversations, and very much around risks, but also opportunities and impact. So what are the risks with gender equality? There might be linked to violence against women. There might be a lot of incidences of violence in the company, but also in the community. And we know that violence against women has huge impact on companies' effectiveness, absenteeism, and how the company can be running. So it is a very important topic for banks and companies more broadly to take into consideration, to avoid sexual harassment in the workplace. There might be class action for unequal pay, for example. So there's a lot of risks from that perspective, but also huge opportunities of tapping into new markets to understand better those underserved communities on how they can benefit from your products and services. So doing a SWOT analysis really opens up new pathways for business, but also for making societal impact. And I think also the know your counterpart is becoming very important, also from a gender perspective, to really understand the clients, who are they and how are they performing on gender equality, and being linked to them, what risk that represents to you. What we also talk to our companies about is gender equality is a continuous journey. It's not something you can go and tick a box and, oh, we had an International Women's Day event and you can tick the box. It's really a continuous journey because it has to do with culture, it has to do with social norms, and changing culture and norms takes a while. But we've seen in some companies that really where the commitment is there, that it can be fast-tracked. When the leadership in the bank or in the company is there, it can go faster and it will have ripple effect on the community. It's also a whole of business approach. So it is not only for HR, or you probably hear about gender equality is being addressed by the D&I team or the HR team. Gender equality is really a whole of business and organization approach to address systemic issues. So it's relevant to the IT department, is relevant to procurement, operations, audit, you name it. Every department has something to contribute to this agenda. We also address it from the business model culture. I talked a little bit about that, that it's important that it's rooted in the business model of the company to be able to make those systemic changes. And you can use your relationships with your stakeholders as reaching scale, that you don't have to do everything on your own, but if you are asking a question to your clients or to your suppliers or other stakeholders, what are you doing on gender equality? That in itself is actually triggering a thought in that client, and they might start working on it. So questions is a very good way to start a conversation. As we do in UN Women, we say, are you a WEP signatory? And the conversation would follow, and they will understand that for us, gender equality is very important. And of course, where we see the biggest gap is really around tracking and impact at scale. So tracking and really understanding what are you doing on this journey, whether it's broader social issues or gender equality, what is it that you're contributing to, and be able to tell a story around that data. But ultimately, it's about building trust and long-term relationships with clients, and this is to really understand what are they doing on social issues, but what are they doing on gender equality. And I would like to end, oh, you're behind me. I would like to end with an invitation for those here who haven't signed the Women's Empowerment Principles to do so. We welcome your participation in our network. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much. So we continue in our journey within the client engagement. So we started by scene setting and dialogue, and opening the dialogue. And then we continue for the needs assessment and awareness raising. So these steps can be actually done kind of close to each other, or can be used the same type of dialogues. But basically this is about one, achieving an understanding, or understanding exactly what is our client's performance, so how are they already doing in what are our social objectives as well as a bank. Determining the baseline that we are in and the maturity level regarding sustainability performance of our clients, and then raising awareness. Again, this touches, as I said, with the scene setting, but raising awareness about sustainability needs, and also how it will benefit across the organization and the clients. So to speak to us a bit more on this needs assessment and awareness raising, I will call Yasmine. Yasmine is the head of the social policy unit within ECSO, the climate and social office at the European Investment Bank. And the European Investment Bank has also been working with us in by financing and supporting with the human rights toolkit that will come out now in January. So Yasmine, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joana, and good afternoon to all. So the role of MDBs like EIB with regards to social risks and positive impact is really threefold. I think firstly, it's fundamental that we ensure that we do no harm through our financing. And in addition to avoiding and addressing negative impacts, our role is really to promote human rights and positive social impact by investing in projects that enhance quality of life, support inclusion and equal opportunities, build resilience to climate change and unforeseen crises, and promote good quality employment and financial inclusion. And finally, and importantly, we also provide leadership for the market on what can be done and how to do it well. So today I wanted to share with you EIB's experience in leveraging on its role as an MDB to scale up its client engagement on social risk and positive impact in this needs assessment and awareness raising phase of the client engagement cycle. Starting with doing no harm. As the EU bank, we anchor our requirements in the EU legal framework, which is really a crucial pillar for us in terms of due diligence and contractual perspective. So we were pleased to see the CSDDD moving forward, as it's the first EU attempt to create hard law out of the soft law that are the UNGPs. However, all the emerging regulatory frameworks in this space are creating challenges and opportunities. So on one hand, the development of these legislative frameworks in which to anchor many of these UNGP key elements is excellent in raising the bar and setting standards. But on the other hand, there's a risk that it can mean that resources are deployed towards a pure compliance box-ticking mindset rather than developing a really or truly risk-based approach. So in a time of constrained resources and the need to remain competitive, the risk-based approach is really central to ensuring that the attention goes in the right place and on the right things, and that resources are deployed effectively. At the EIB, we work on determining how these systems and processes can be developed and make sure that resources are focused on the right places. And our client relationship is one of the tools and levers that we have. We rely on the systems and processes of others through our financial intermediated financing. And our clients' obligations are described in Standard 11 of our environmental and social sustainability framework. So we carry out a counterparty risk assessment to determine our clients' capacity, but we also require from our clients to have in place a process for identifying, assessing, managing, and monitoring ECS impacts and risks that is commensurate to the financial intermediary's size and the nature of its business. As you can see, we have a real vested interest as a bank in ensuring that a pragmatic, implementable solution to address the requirements of the UNGPs are mainstreamed across the financial sector. And we were approached, as Joana mentioned, by UNEP FI to help the development of this revamped toolkit, which seeks to address many of these questions in a way that can be as user-friendly as possible to the private sector. We were very happy to collaborate on and finance this initiative to really bring some concrete solutions as to how financial institutions can align with the UNGPs. It was very important for us that the toolkit was not just focused on policy, but really grappled with the processes and the how-to, and that it was grounded in concrete examples. So it's been a real privilege to work alongside the experts of UNEP FI and our external consultants on supporting the development of this toolkit, and we very much look forward to its official launch soon. Moving on to the positive social impact. So I mentioned already, our role is also to promote positive impact through our investments. And the EIB is known as the EU Climate Bank, but we really see that there is no trade-off between objectives. In fact, we see huge opportunities at the intersection between social and climate. And as we engage with our clients at project origination and due diligence stage, we will identify potential opportunities for enhanced positive impact and discuss with them the challenges that they may face in implementing them, including with regards to their own capacity and performance. And I think there's two key elements to ensure that projects do good that I wanted to highlight. It's really demonstrating intentionality and measuring impact. And this is something that the market is still grappling with. And there's an increasing awareness that the key to avoid social washing is really to have strong KPIs and measure them. So EIB and other MDBs have led the way with operationalizing this principle through gender, with the 2X criteria in particular, and really relying on this common global benchmark. So in the same spirit as the Human Rights Toolkit, we worked alongside the 2X Global, EBRD, and BII to develop a Gender and Climate Finance Toolkit, which is a guide available online to help investors, fund managers, and other stakeholders to identify and prioritize gender-smart climate finance investments throughout the investment cycle, as well as in existing portfolios. And it can also be used to engage in discussions with investees. And if you were here a bit earlier, you will also have heard about the launch of UNEP FI's joint guidance with UN Women on gender equality and women's economic empowerment, target setting for banks. So this is another important initiative in going beyond the bilateral engagement with our clients and having a broader reach in terms of building capacity and raising awareness of financial institutions. And I just wanted to mention another approach to address the needs of our clients and raise the awareness on sustainability needs. It's advisory services. And I mean, working with our clients in the gender space, on investing in women-owned and women-led businesses, we really see that there are still some needs that need to be addressed. So we work with our clients through advisory services to help them better understand the business case for serving women-owned and women-led SMEs in their markets, build a gender-centric strategy and value proposition, develop financial and non-financial solutions and gender-centric marketing strategies, and finally incorporate gender-smart data analysis, results measurement, and reporting requirements into the organization's systems. So this was just to give you a bit of an overview of how we complement our bilateral engagement with our clients through advisory, through guidance initiatives to increase our reach on the market and provide leadership on best practices at the level of financial institutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yasmine. So I think on this awareness raising, we do hope that some of the guidance do help also in this awareness raising for clients. And Yasmine, for instance, mentioned the 2X toolkit on gender climate finance, which is also mentioned in our gender equality guidance that we just mentioned. So I think we're trying to just put together what are the elements that are out there and that can be used when engaging with clients and for raising awareness. The same for the Human Rights Toolkit, that we also can hope it can be a tool in order to raise awareness. So I pass now for so we had the scene setting and opening dialogue. We go for the needs assessment and awareness raising, and then we continue for defining supporting plans. So this is about understanding in which ways a bank can actually support their clients to find solutions. So if we are speaking in this case about social issues, how can the banks support clients with both incentives or with conditions that will lead to having better outcomes when it comes for social issues. So I will call to the to speak about this point, Jonathan, the Chief External Relations Officer and Head of Impact Strategy at Vancity. Vancity is also a member of the Principles for Responsible Banking and a founding member of the Net Zero Banking Alliance. And Jonathan is also the North American representative at the Banking Board. So thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. I think, when Yasmine spoke, she talked about grounding things in concrete, and I think the first two elements really worked well and lent themselves well to talking about the process itself. I thought I might take a slightly different approach because I think the support plan aspect really lends itself well to that. And in that, I just want to walk through two examples where we've developed a support plan and kind of what aspects underpin that. For those who don't know, Vancity is a credit union, actually, owned by our 570,000 members on the west coast of British Columbia in Canada, which is where I hail from. The first example that I want to walk through, I think talks about, not just the role of the tools of finance, but also the convening power that financial institutions have at their disposal, the expertise that they have, and of course also the financial tools that you can bring to bear. And so this first one really arose out of an event that happened in 2021 in British Columbia. In fact, all along the west coast of North America, there was what was called a heat dome. First time I'd heard the term, but effectively what it was several days of intense heat. We broke several records across North America, and on that day, one of those days in particular was the hottest on record in Canada. In that time period, very short, I think, but just over 48 hours, about 619 people, exactly 619 people lost their lives due to heat-related deaths. And that was folks who were isolated and alone in largely single occupancy housing units that were not purpose-built for heat. It was also in neighborhoods where they didn't have a lot of green space. And the fact was people just didn't have a place to go to be able to escape the heat. Add to that British Columbia, like frankly many jurisdictions, is in the midst of an affordability crisis, and so the nonprofit housing stock in particular requires major reinvestment and really is increasingly less safe during climate events. So you have this heat event coming at the same time where you have building stock that's not purpose-built. At Vancity, we're also looking, of course, to, like all of us, to reduce emissions throughout our lending portfolio. And in Canada, buildings are the third largest emitter, and they form half of our financed emissions. So getting to the support plan, in terms of the research, we really found that access to capital was part of the problem for nonprofit housing organizations to do retrofits and to do get their buildings climate ready. But a lot of it was really about capacity building with staff and board members. And so we looked at that to say, how do we go about doing that? We knew a couple of things. One, needed to be a low barrier to entry. And so basically, if you were a member of Vancity and you owned or operated a multi-unit nonprofit housing building, that kind of got you in the first bar. And then we wanted to know exactly what you were doing in that, reducing emissions and increasing livability. It needed to be simple. Not a lot of hoops, especially where there's a capacity gap. And second, or third, it needed to complement other sources of funding. We can't be having folks, competing for things. We needed them to be able to stack the funding to be able to get in there. And again, this was all things that we'd learned in that discovery phase around, what did we hear during these aspects, and how do we move this into a support phase? Now, Vancity has a program in place where we take 30% of our net profits and we redistribute it to communities and members. And so we earmarked $5 million from that and said, we're going to put together a program that will give an $80,000 grant for planning and capacity building, and a $99,000 grant for implementation of your project. We brought community partners to bear, folks that we work with, who can train the housing providers, train the directors, give advice on portfolio mapping and capital planning. How do you stack with the various other grants and tools that are around? So we were able to convene around this and really mobilize on what are the challenges. One is really understanding the problem in the building stock. One is really upskilling the capacity of folks within the organizations and the governors of the organizations. And then where else can they pay for this to be able to make it a reality? So the results so far, we have deployed $2.8 million of the 5. And that has or is leading to the retrofit of 1,485 units. And here's where it gets, I think, really cool, is that take a seniors building, 36 residents. We are reducing 61 tons of GHG per year as a result of this program. They're also getting an annual savings, energy savings of $25,400 a year. It also means that residents in this building are cool during the summer and warm during the winter. And so we've been able to develop a support plan that really meets the needs, stacks the capital, and allows them now to go off and build similar things elsewhere in their stock without the need for this accelerator. Similarly, a housing co-op with 90 residents is seeing a savings of $15,000. And in that one, they have 44 tons of GHG reductions per year with solar panels on the roof, cooling again during the summer, which solves kind of the problem at the first part, but also looks at where are vulnerable populations. So we're really matching our climate ambitions with a social program that says, you know, who's being left behind? Who are these folks? Why did these folks die during this heat event? And what can we do about it? And really that was kind of the mobilization phase that led us to this. The second one that I want to highlight is our work with our Indigenous communities and clients. And in Canada, there really is a financial literacy gap for many Indigenous people. The causes, I think, are reasonably obvious, but worth noting. One, the results of intergenerational colonization has absolutely created not just barriers, but also trauma around finances, around money, around saving, and around the fact, frankly, that the kind of money-based economy is one that was imposed on a group of folks who did not operate or think this way. As a result, there's also a mistrust within this community of financial institutions and unique barriers that have been introduced through the Canadian Indian Act, which was a kind of a well-meaning approach, but just did not listen to the needs of that community. And so as we worked with our Indigenous members, we heard loud and clear from community members that financial literacy was a challenge and that existing traditional programs were not effective. So, we also heard that we needed to step in and help reduce economic barriers and also empower what is the fastest growing segment in Canada's population. So moving to the support plan. We worked with local elders to create a culturally safe, relatable program that was seen and experienced through an Indigenous lens. We had heard that folks in that community saw things through a poverty or a scarcity mindset, so we called it the wealth mindset. And we introduced workshops that connected participants to cultures, histories, and traditional concepts of value. There's a variety of other aspects to it, which I'm happy to talk about in the Q&A, and my time is up. But I do want to just say on the results side, we had 201 participants go through in 2023 and 242 go through in 2024. 50% of those, of all those, 50% of all those, the surveys show that everyone is 50% more confident to manage their finances after than they were when they entered, and that's an average across. We are looking to scale it across Canada, and it is, again, because of that engagement with communities that led us to this.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I think you really also highlighted very well how this connects to get to defining the support plans. And also, it's great that you also brought one case that was bringing the climate and the social considerations together, which we are trying, either we will call it just transition or how we want, but I think it's very relevant to think that these aspects are together and are interlinked, and we need to work them together. And then also very important, the case also that you brought now on how do we bring populations that have been left behind to the table and ensure that they have financial inclusion and health to continue financial health. So I'll now move from the planning to if we get to this phase in the circle, then we also get ideas on how to have what are other products that we could have as a bank that could actually allow our clients or could lead to more sustainable business models. So what are these examples that we can find? And to speak a bit to that, I'm very happy to invite Abimbola, the head of corporate sustainability at Wema Bank. Wema Bank is a founding member of the Principles for Responsible Banking, and Abimbola herself has also been part of the Financial Health and Inclusion group with UNEP FI. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joana. Good evening, everyone. And I am Abimbola Agbejule from Wema Bank, Nigeria. And what we're speaking to today is actually a testament of what we've done back in Nigeria. I'll say Wema Bank is the oldest indigenous bank in Nigeria, and we are also the first fully digital bank. And so how did we do this? And we started with a trust that says that we're going to develop digital solutions for societal impact. So what does this mean? We don't want to serve everybody through the brick and mortar model. We also put into consideration the population that we have in Nigeria. We have a lot of young people in terms of demographic, and we have about 70% of the 200 million people in Nigeria are under the age of 28, 25 years. And so what did we do? We created a solution called Alert. We use a solution to demystify banking in Nigeria. What does this mean? You don't have to come into the bank and also open an account. All you need to do is your mobile device, because everybody is with a device. And in less than 5 minutes, you get your account opened. And with that, we're able to bring in over 5 million people into the banking population. And what we've done is to make banking accessible, affordable, reliable, and also make it a bit intuitive so it can design what you need and be able to tell you we have a good user story. And we don't do it by ourselves. So what we've done is to use the same demographics, the young people, to come up with solutions through hackathons. And so we call it Hackaholics at Wema Bank. And we've done this for over 5 years, where young people have provided different solutions targeted at health, education, government tech, climate-related solutions, gender-based solutions, and all of these solutions are thriving, and which we actually embedded into the ecosystem that we have in Nigeria. A lot of those solutions are even targeted to women because, you know, when the Bolivian presidential was going on, he said, when women prosper, the economy prosper, and the nation prosper as well. And so what we've done is to create targeted solution with high intentionality for women. And so what does this mean? Over 3 million women have been financially included under our platform in Nigeria called Sarah by Wema. What does this platform do? We bring together women of different minds, race, age, class, different financial needs to actually access different solutions that will help them to thrive, succeed, move their business to the next level, and also help them to be economically productive. And so we've designed solutions that are affordable, easy to use. For SMEs, we created access to market, not only the local market, the international market as well. I think in August, during summer, we took about almost 300 women to the UK to export their products to the UK. And so, you know, we have African fashion, we have local production or solutions for hair care products, beauty products, beyond our music. And this has helped some of the women to gain access to even the Paris markets. And so you find some of our Nigerian designers showcasing their products at the International Fashion Week. Look out for that. For our women, what we've done, since we're able to do this and succeeded with it, we now moved into collaborative partnership. People have seen what we've done, and we are working with other institutions to collaborate to actually take this a step further, because we need blended finance to make it more affordable, cheaper, and also get other forms of technical support for these women. And so we worked with Islamic Development Bank. We got a grant for our women. and the women were able to use this grant to also buy equipment. More importantly, things around energy, because energy is a big deal for us in Africa. And without energy, SMEs cannot thrive. And so we're able to provide this sort of energy for these women through the green energy finance that we have. So provision of solar-powered solutions, cooling system for people that are into various forms of agric, packaging solutions that are actually even they're environmentally friendly, and also help them to reach out to people that will provide the support system. Now, sometimes these women is not financing that they need. What they need is collaborative support, people to handhold them, show them how the business is done. And so we're able to do this successfully through sustainable finance. And we've invested over $30 billion in this area and at a single-digit interest loan rate. Typically in Nigeria, you see double digits, and it's quite expensive. But for these women, we're able to provide this funding for them at an affordable rate. One more thing that we've done to move the needle forward is to also partner with European Investment Bank. So look at the youth demographic in Nigeria. There are quite a number. How else can we support the young people in Nigeria and also women? We currently also work with the federal government of Nigeria with this through what we call a large-scale innovation program. What does this mean? These young people that are out there, this teeming population, how can we use digital skills to teach them other skills that could help them to survive on their own, be productive, and also improve the economic base of Nigeria? And so we work with partners like Microsoft, the federal government, works with Google, work with local support tech, with education and people in education, academia, Lagos Business School, to provide this sort of learning solutions, platforms that will enable these young people to move the needle forward. The last bit that I'm going to talk about, and I know that you're looking at me because of time, is the Green Finance Facility. This we developed in partnership with Frankfurt Business School, and we have some local partners. That these are SME. How do we provide energy support for them? Energy in terms of how do they transit from the current energy energy solution that they have? And so if you go to many manufacturing organizations, they currently use diesel, that's fossil fuel, to power their businesses. But what we've done is to help them to transit, to use gas, and also solar. For you to do this, that means we're actually reducing our negative emission on the environment, and at the same time empowering our customers to be able to transit, move from one dirty form of energy to the cleaner form, and also expand their lifespan, because when you inhale all of this dirty fuel, it actually has a harm on your lifestyle. So be able to move, and the financing has helped tremendously. What we've also done with Sarah by Wema, as in under that platform, for every woman that has an account, we've embedded a health solution into it, because we realized over time, based on study, because whatever solution that we come on board, we use human-centered approach so that we know what they truly need and how they truly need it. We realized that with one health issue, the entire revenue and profits of a business could be wiped off. And so we developed a health solution package as part of the solution for any woman that has an account with us at Wema, under the Sarah by Wema platform. And it's as cheap as $2, let me say $1 now, because of the exchange rate volatility, $1 per month. And so you can see the women would have access to good health care, their children are well taken care of, and they also have the support from the banking system. And so what we're doing is to ensure that everybody is successful, we all thrive, inclusion is big, and there's a larger economic prosperity for the entire nation. And we believe that with such collaboration and designing products and solutions with the customers in mind, that we can actually move the needle forward and truly be inclusive, and also forge a way forward for a better environment. I think I'll move on to Joana now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abimbola. I think it's great again to see this connection between the sustainability, all the sustainability parts, and so the environmental issues, and also how you've been able to put out products that really target and really look at women and other groups. So it's very, very interesting always to hear the examples from Wema Bank. So we are getting at the end of our cycle, and at the end of our cycle, what we normally would do is then monitoring. So look, what did we do? How is it working? What is the results? what can we improve? And to speak a bit about that, I invite our last speaker, Amanda. Amanda is the human rights lead at ING. ING is a founding member of the Principles for Responsible Banking and a member of the Net Zero Banking Alliance. And Amanda has been working with us in our work on just transition and is also part of our community of practice of human rights. Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Joana, and also thank you for having me here. It's great to be part of this panel or Q&A. So, yeah, it's a very busy slide. So everything that is added here, it's in our human rights report and also our climate update. Both were published this year. So if you want to know more, please read those reports. It takes a huge effort to write them, so please read them. So before diving into monitoring, I want to give you some context on existing processes of client engagement on social but also on environmental risks. At ING, the environmental social risk framework sets the risk appetite ING is willing to take on clients and transactions. This framework was built on international standards such as the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights and the OECD Guidelines for Responsible Business Conduct. Having said that, engaging with clients can be triggered by three key factors, if I would put it. The due diligence process on a client and also on transaction level, it starts looking if a client has activities that are restricted to our policies. Also on regular annual reviews of clients and transactions, and it can also be triggered by media reporting, civil society organizations, or external stakeholders raising concerns via our complaints channels. In this slide, I included a part of the table that was added in the latest human rights report that shows some examples of engagement and also illustrates what were the triggers and how we are monitoring if those were closed or it's an engagement that is ongoing. Okay, so following engagement with those clients, what happens next? So if the due diligence process and the client engagement indicates that further action is required, conditions may be included in loan documentation. Those conditions, they may have strict timelines or indicate if a follow-up during a review is required or not. And depending on the outcomes of this monitoring, stricter conditions may be added, or even disengagement and offboarding may be considered depending on how the client is progressing. And also on the severity of the topics. Bearing in mind that additional engagement beyond reviews may be triggered, like I said, by media or civil society organizations or concerns that are brought into us. I also included a section here on business ethics. So the world around us is in continuous change and evolves at a speed that often our policies may not be following at the same speed as the world changes. So the business ethics team is a team in group sustainability. They do a further analysis into the latest insights in academia and what society is saying to understand what is the human rights impact or environmental impacts from a specific client or transaction. It is an additional layer of due diligence and client engagement. I've been short because I want to leave time for questions at the end, so thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for that. And I think it's also great that we end up with a look into the human rights reporting, which speaks again to also when Yasmine mentioned the human rights toolkit that we are working on. So I think there's always this connection points between each of the speakers and the work that each is doing. So we have some time. So I would now open the floor for questions. So I should have said before so that you would have some time to think. So if anyone has any question that you want to put forward to any of the speakers, now it's the opportunity and the time just before we go and finish the day. I see one hand there already. We'll start.
Hello, and thank you very much for a very interesting discussion. And my apologies, I didn't get everyone's names at the beginning. I normally take a picture of the slide. So I wanted to address this question to Abimbola from Kenya, please, because what I am looking at when I saw your slide and the information you gave us is the scale up. I mean, I was looking at 2 million women, which is half the population of Ireland, where I come from, and I'm like, wow, for one bank to scale up like that, you know, from a small country, it's enormous. But I mean, from Kenyan's population, I understand it would be a smaller amount relative, but how do you scale up? And do you look at, when you're looking at different opportunities to do different projects, do you look at it and say, can we scale this up? And if not, we're not going to go near it? Like, what's the secret to scaling up?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. I'm from Nigeria, not Kenya. I'm a proud Nigerian. So for us at Wema, the decision to scale up actually came after we went through a sort of program at the bank. And so we said we wanted to scale. So how do we scale? Do we want to build brick and mortar branches? That's not the way to go. The whole world now use some form of device, if you have a telephone. So how do we reach these people? And you know, I mentioned the fact that we had to use a human-centered design approach, because we see, where will we find you? If you look in this room now, everybody has got 1 or 2 devices to themselves. And in a day, we are probably here for like maybe 40 minutes at the minimum. You're checking time. Even if you're not chatting, you're going through the internet, and where do we meet these people? So how do we demystify banking to ensure that people can come into that space? Not like there are no banks. Not saying we cannot open more branches, but the fact that you open a branch does not mean that people would want to come in. And at the same time, we are looking at reducing our own emissions level. And so if I'm bringing people to the branch, the number of footfall that I will have in the branch, I don't want to have that. So how do I, the same process that you come in to do in the branch, can I put it on digital? Recall that we said we created a strategic trust called Digital Solutions for Societal Impact. So wherever you find yourself in Nigeria, the remote location, far-flung location, as long as you have access to the internet and you have access to a device, then you can open an account. Even when you don't have access, you can walk through an agent. And so we've empowered agents as well to help people to actually get onboarded into the banking platform. The second thing that we did was that when you have a bank account, you also need to be able to transact. And so we created an opportunity for you to request for a debit card in the app, on your phone, on your device, on your tablet. You don't have to come to the bank branch to request for a debit card. And that card can be activated within the app and will also be delivered to you at your location, so you don't need to come in. So you can say the convenience. And so this attracted a number of people to the bank. Beyond that, we look at the demographics. What do these people want? What will make the banking solution that we're providing sticky? And so we created a lot of programs that will make you want to come. So there are programs targeted at different age segments. So we have the one for the young people, teenagers, 13 to 17, called Alert Explore. And so what they are doing is things that will make them explore their device, but with the guidance of their parents. We move to the women. What do women want? What sort of solutions do they need? A business to? They need things to talk to them about parenting. They need someone to talk to them about healthcare. They need someone to talk about accounting, basic accounting, how to separate your personal funds from your business funds. Things as simple as that will make the banking solution sticky and make people to come in. And so when you're doing that, we also created a loyalty program. As the more you use, the more benefits you get. And for women especially, we layered it with insurance. So there's healthcare insurance for you. There's access to markets. So when there are opportunities for you to bring your solutions to the marketplace where people can listen to you. So not only products, we also do services. So if you have services that you sell, come to the marketplace. People are there. And you have mentors and coaches to handhold you. So we do this in the marketplace. We also do it in the community. And so when people see that you do things in the community, they endear themselves to you. So at the community level, we teach the women how to have better, maybe cleanliness, things around financial inclusion, financial literacy. We simplify it and make people want to come in and discuss with them. We also talk about health issues that people shy away from. things around sensitive issues like breast cancer. People don't have access to the kind of information that they need. Beyond providing that information, we also support them in terms of getting care. You know, when you have there's advocacy, there's care support system. So these sort of things make people want to come in, and you quickly scale because they want people that can support them, and they want a system that is actually working as well, and there are testimonies to that. The big leap for us was when we partnered with the federal government of Nigeria around the Alert FGN skill innovation. So what do we do here? Bring young people together, learn digital skills, work with the likes of Google, work with the likes of Microsoft, big business schools in Nigeria like Lagos Business School, to ensure that people understand at the basic level. And they have tools to use as well to do all of these things. So these are some of the things that's really helped us to scale. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions to the panelists? Oh, sorry.
Thank you. And thank you very much for sharing your experience. I'm Franco Pisa. I'm from Bancolombia, signatory at the same time for the inclusion, for the inclusion and wealth commitment. My question is for Jonathan. If you could offer to us more color about your strategies working together with indigenous communities, risks and opportunities on that land. Thank you.
So you can hear. So sorry, let me know if I'm not repeating it. We couldn't hear it very clearly. Sorry. So I think it was on the indigenous people's projects that you are working on. What are the challenges and the opportunities that you saw on this work?
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much for the question. Sorry, I was having trouble hearing with the echo. I would say that the challenges that we saw were many, actually. I mean, you know, what you are effectively needing to do is break down intergenerational trauma to be able to have a conversation about financial literacy. And so, you know, we actually have an elder and a facilitator. And the first thing that happens when folks walk into that room is they're asked to tell the story about the first time that they saved money. And there's actually often a lot of fear and shame and a variety of other emotions that are packed into that. And so, you know, before you can even get into a conversation, you know, you need to be able to create that sense of safety and camaraderie in that room to be able to move through it. And you know, the cohorts that come through are often, you know, kind of a community will sponsor it. So they're coming in with an existing sense of empowerment. And so, I mean, the challenges are really, how do we make sure that we get that right? How do we make sure that we really embrace what we're hearing from community and allow community to really lead that process and have us as enablers of an outcome? My goodness, in terms of the opportunities, they really are huge. The first cohort, I had the privilege of joining them on their last day, and it was remarkable. I mean, like, listen, I remember when I first got my first mortgage. I had no idea what I was doing. I figured that I was, you know, kind of completely out of place, and asking questions like, you know, what's a variable rate felt really embarrassing. And I am navigate the world as a man of privilege. And for the folks in this cohort to feel a sense of empowerment over their own finances, over you know, their ability to turn good ideas into businesses, into saving for something they want, is to me just truly transformational.
Thank you, Jonathan. We have time for a quick last question if someone else wants to make. Okay, just a brief one.
Just very briefly, if you assist your clients or partners in assessing social risks when it comes to accessing a loan or anything like that, if you have a methodology, if you don't have it, we actually have one to suggest. I'm sorry, I'm Francesca Núñez from IFAD, International Fund for Agricultural Development. Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
I'm sorry.
Having some issues with sound here, I think.
If you maybe assist your clients or partners in assessing social risk, which could be related to gender or any other issues, if you have a methodology to assess social risk.
Okay, so the question is whether you want to have a methodology to assess the risks. And go maybe
I think from
20 seconds.
Yeah, I think from our side, with the Women's Empowerment Principles, we have assessment tools where we really guide through the companies on what do they need to have in place to optimize opportunities and eliminate the risks. So indirectly, yes, so we have this WEPs gap analysis tool, but we also find it extremely important for companies to know where they are on the journey in the supply chain. Even banks are doing procurement and purchase things. And so we have a dedicated tool specifically on gender responsive procurement. We are also looking into risk and opportunities when it comes to recruitment. So we have a specific tool there. So yes, that's a short answer. Thank you.
Amanda, if you want to.
Yes, at ING, like I mentioned in my presentation, the environmental social risk policy has a human rights policy, which is overarching, and then that policy is applied on tooling inside the bank, and that's applied to client level and also on transaction level with the sector-specific questions. And then the client is rated on different risk levels, which will determine the level of monitoring that is required as well. So it is a tool that has been in place for a few years, and now we're looking at the following steps of automatizing things and getting a faster decision-making process in addition to existing processes as well.
Thank you, Amanda. I think we are, our time is up, and as the last session, I think you all want to continue from here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the panelists. I think one of the messages is clearly that banks have a huge impact and a huge role in transforming our economies, in having economies that are more sustainable, more inclusive, and through this client engagement is one, of course, of the ways to do so, and let's continue walking that journey together. Thank you so much all for staying until this time. Thank you so much to the panel for your presentations. Thank you.